What's up, Killdozers? This is Devlog number 4 for Untitled Tank Game. A few things have changed since the last episode. It's been, I think, over 2 weeks. I didn't know a good stopping point because I kept wanting to add more and more features. So now I'm stuck with a bunch of things to show you, and most of them aren't even complete yet. So the theme of today's video is playtest. I know everyone in the industry says you playtest as soon as possible, you playtest as soon as possible. And I always believed them, but it's not until you actually do it do you realize how darn important playtesting early is. Not just for bug fixing, not just for getting the feel of your game, but for figuring out if what you're making is even fun or not. So, as a test, I loaded in me and 2 friends. I wish I had footage to show you guys, but all we did was run around and shoot balls at each other, which was so stupid because the balls didn't actually collide with us. They just clipped all over the place. And I was like, wow, I had more fun in the past 5 minutes of firing random projectiles at my friends than I did in a couple of games I must have played earlier that week. And so this playtest kind of shifted my entire perspective of what this game should be, at least what the multiplayer portion of this game should be. I'm thinking more of a, if you any guys have ever played, I believe it's New Super Mario Bros. For the Wii or the Wii U, where you are moving left to right, playing through a Mario level as if, you know, it's a regular Mario game, but you do it with friends. There's like 4 of you. So let's say it's like that, where we have a isometric camera and the tank gets to move along through the terrain and blow up targets together as friends. And honestly, that sounds really fun, so I wanted to try it. So the first thing I implemented was a rangefinder. So I'm kind of lowering the skill, or what's the term? Lowering the skill floor of my game. So with a rangefinder, you can set all your settings, and you can actually choose where your projectile will land. Excuse me. I'm going to make a little target down here, makes it easier to see where it's going, but for now it is an accurate rangefinder. The balls are no longer physics-based, they follow the path of the rangefinder. This is because I thought physics would be kind of complicated over networking. It's technically possible, but when you have a game about precision, physics, especially in Unity, does not equal precision. So you can see I've also added a differentiator up here, so if you know if you're a host or a client, very useful for debugging. So as you can see here, I can see my rangefinder changing. So the rangefinders were a little difficult to work, not impossible, but took a few tries to get working. So the way I did the rangefinders is they take the 2 angles, so your vertical angle and your horizontal angle, and of course the power, and then it runs some physics calculations, well, pseudo physics calculations, not real physics, just using a few equations that actually ChatGPT helped me with a bit, because math isn't my strongest suit. And create this arc, which is just a line renderer with a material iterating over it using the material shader graph, I think it's called. Yeah, shader graph's pretty cool. I haven't used it much, but it's a nice tool. So yeah, line renderer itself is just a pretty shader graph, and this is calculated using those 3 variables. Now, the issue I was having was the 3 variables can be passed along the network, but doing so makes the line seem jittery. So like it would jerk around kind of like this instead of having a smooth finish. And while that's not necessarily gameplay, it doesn't look very nice. It doesn't look like you and your friends are really interacting that much. So I wanted that to be smooth. So the first thing I did was, instead of passing the X and Y angle variables along using a sync var or whatever else Fishnet uses, I simply had the line renderer not drawn by the tank controller itself, but drawn by the governor of the scene. So what happens is the governor of the scene will iterate through all the tanks in the scene, which are tagged by a player tag. And if that tank is the tank that it belongs to the governor, so the owner of the tank, so the client side, it'll just render out normally. It'll take the 3 values and do it. But if it's a remote tank, what it'll do is it'll take the 2 values, X and Y, from the movement of the head, which is really easy because I had Fishnet simply track the movement with a transform. I believe that's what it's called. Let's see. Yeah, with a network transform, just how it automatically tracks the movement of the tank, it can track the X and Y of the barrel. But the power was still an issue. So what happens is, since the power is not updated as quickly as I would like, I simply had the power passed along as a sync var as a remote power variable. So we have remote power, or I call server power, with a get and a server RPC set, and a local power. And so what happens is the server power is passed between the clients and the servers, and then over an update, the local power is lerped to match the server power at a quick rate. It makes it so it almost looks completely seamless. Like if you see this, check this out. So if I remove this, right, and I just make the local power equal to the server power, also have to make this reliable because there is a slight difference. So I'll show you guys what I was looking at before, right? So let's build this real quick. It only takes me about 10 seconds to build. Pretty beefy computer. All right. So this is what my line render was looking like before, with just a normal sync var passing the information. So you can see on the left here, well, you know what? Yeah, watch the right. This is my character. You see how jerky that movement is? So the vertical and horizontal is really smooth because the network transform is passing that and lerping it, which is fine. But the power, oof, that looks like I am trying to calculate this on a Windows 98 computer, even though the actual variable is moving smoothly. So by switching the channel to unreliable, which is only if you care, these are like cosmetic variables, not ones that are important like health and score and such. And by lerping it, these two work together to make a completely smooth power. So I'll show you real quick. Ooh. I have a bug where my Unity itself can't be the host of the session, so I have to make 2 client instances. You can see here, watch on the left, just by lerping that value, look how smooth that is. It's insane. The client and the server are almost perfectly matched. Like, it's actually insane how close that gets. Looks way nicer. Other than that, my next plans are to, well, fix remote firing of the ball. Now, the ball fires if you're on the server side, but if you're on the client side, it doesn't fire. So that's the thing I have to figure out. If you've been paying attention, you see the tanks have names above their heads. These names are randomly generated and don't sync properly across the server either. If you want, you can fill in your own name at the start screen, and that works, but it doesn't actually sync properly, so I have to fix that as well. But once I get the ball working, over the network, the names, and get some explosions going when the ball hits the ground. I'm gonna do another playtest with my friends and to see what the hell that looks like. Um, it might be really fun. It might be super boring. But yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.